Aisquaichel OCM. Welcome to the traditional territory of the Sooke Nation, my cousin Thor and mine's family, here at the Sooke Museum. We're going to do a little tree stripping demonstration for you. This is a red cedar tree that we're going to be working with today. First I'll acknowledge my cousin Thor Gauti from Sooke Nation and myself, Jeff Welch from Sooke Nation. We both have relatives out at Pacheedaht Nation and also Songhees Nation in Victoria. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a strip of cedar from this tree in a traditional modern style, because we're actually going to use a hatchet today. So older traditional tools would have been stone tools, and there's some in the museum actually that you can see if you ever come to the museum. Look in the displays and see all the cool tools traditional to use. So the cedar tree in our Coast Salish culture is called the tree of life, and it's very important in our culture since time immemorial. We use it for medicine, we use it for clothing, we use it for tools, such as canoes is one of the larger things that we would carve from a red cedar tree, because they're the bigger trees out of the red and the yellow cedar. I was lucky to have gotten to work as an apprentice on our canoe project in 1994 at Sooke Nation under Master Carver Fred Peter. I believe you guys also have some film of that canoe and from back in '94 somewhere in your museum. So yes, the tree of life supplies the bark to make things such as our hats, mats, clothing like capes and skirts. There is also the wood that we would use for, like I said, the canoes, but we would also use it to carve paddles, carve masks. We would cut planks from the red cedar tree to make our big houses, thick plank big house walls with planks on the roofs. That's the traditional, very old way of doing it, and they last for so long making them that way. Modern materials not so good, but it's a lot less expensive. Yeah. So what else, Thor? Can you add anything?
It's also really good for making cedar rope, and then they could use it as their anchor lines. Use those big rocks with the holes in them. They just tie a knot, and then they could anchor their canoes. And then they could also use the bark, or they'd use the root a lot more to make real thin line, and they'd make it into fishing nets. Traditionally, they used to do that too.
Mm-hmm. And also, it's the roots and the fine whips off of the branches can be woven extremely tightly, so that into baskets, so tight that they'll hold water. A woven basket will hold water, woven properly, made from the roots, like I said. So, Thor, would you like to leave a gift for our ancestors?
Do an offering.
So, in our tradition, if we don't give thanks to our ancestors who may live in these trees, we could get cursed. So it's important that we leave a gift, such as tobacco, sage, or sweetgrass, to acknowledge and thank the spirit of the trees. So what Thor is going to do is he's going to make a cut around here about a hand's width, so about 6 or 7 inches wide, and a couple cuts going up from on the sides of that cut. And then we're going to peel it up and strip it, and it's going to strip up as far as it can go. We're going to pull on it and then tear it off. Okay, so you want to start that, Thor? And it's important that traditionally we do this sustainably, where when we strip a tree, we only strip one strip off of it for the life of that tree, so that it will forever have a minor wound to heal instead of a huge wound that could kill the tree. So the only time we take a whole tree is if we're going to use it for other things like our canoes or our other arts or homes or what have you. If we're not going to use the whole tree, then we do this. We just take a strip off of each tree, and it'll live for hundreds and hundreds of more years. So Thor's just prying up on the. So he's prying it up, and it'll come up like a big sheet. There we go. Need some help? You got it there, bud? And this is the time of year. It's June right now. June is the best time of year. The sap is flowing nicely, so it makes it easier to pull it away from the trunk of the tree. And it'll also the sap will form kind of a scab and protect the tree for many years. Okay, he's got one. Here we go. Yeah, nice. Maybe just pull on it until. There we go. Nice long one. Okay. That's how you strip a tree. So, if we grab some knives, we can do some demonstration on cleaning.
So you want to get all this rough outer bark off.
And it's better to do this part while it's still fresh and wet. It'll come off a lot easier. You're gonna have a really tough job if you peel it and roll it up and put it away and do it at another time. It'll make your job twice as hard. The cedar tree is even known for being used as a medicine. Boiling the leaves and drinking or using them in your bath.
Yeah, really good for a bath. Or you can put a towel on your head and breathe all the steam in, and it helps clean out all your respiratory.
So what we're going to do is we're going to clean up this, so we'll have enough to make probably cedar rope or cedar necklaces or bracelets, Thor.
Yeah,
do you think?
maybe some cedar roses.
Cedar roses.
Maybe headbands.
Yeah. Yeah, this museum, I used to come here all the time when I was a kid. It's one of my favorite places to be, actually. I come in once a year. I'm pretty sure I come in once a year. And same with the one in Victoria, ever since I was a kid. It's my favorite place to be, the museums and the libraries. And on the land, of course. Interesting fact, I at one time used to be a scuba instructor, and I used to dive with a giant Pacific octopus in our waters here, which is actually the biggest octopus species in the world here. And I used to feed them and interact with them quite a bit, diving with them a few times, and they get used to you and they'll allow you to pet them and stuff if you bring them food. Also, Thor and I, our current work is with the School District 62. Thor is an Aboriginal education support worker at Poye Elementary, and I work in all the schools wherever I'm called to in the School District 62 to do presentations, Cedar presentations, or whatever presentations, cultural presentations they would like to hear about. And I also do some university classes as well, usually on our traditional territory, Sooke Nation, Syossin Village, Beach, just because there's so much life there still. We harvest it traditionally, and so when the tide goes out, the table is set, is what our elders say. And so when our tide goes out down there, when we get a low tide, there is a lot of food to be had. Sea urchins, clams and oysters, even octopus, which I don't eat anymore since I started diving with them. But there's so much food to be had on our beach still. So when I do bring groups down there to harvesting demonstrations, we don't keep the things we harvest anymore. We harvest them, look at them, talk about them, and then put them back, just so that we're not over, taking too much for future generations. Because in our culture, we believe that we have to think of at least 7 generations ahead of us when we're doing our harvesting practices. Thor's been working at with the district for how many years, Thor?
This will be my 4th year at the end of this year.
Yeah. And I've been working with the district for, this is I think my 10th year. I also work on a elders project in School District 62 is where I started working. And then I got introduced to the Role Models program, Aboriginal Role Models program after that. But I still currently, once the COVID is over, I will be doing the Elders project with our elder Shirley Alphonse. She's been teaching me how to do my presentations for 10 years, and I've learned a lot from her, and I really I owe her a lot. Yeah. My presentations have grown exponentially over the 10 years. I started out with just talking about drumming, hand drums with the kids, and over the 10 years learning our traditions from my family, as well as other role models, Aboriginal role models in the school district that I work with. We all pick up and learn from each other that way as well, because not everybody knows everything. There's always something to learn in our culture, and so I've made it my goal to as long as I'm alive to learn as much as I can and to teach it to our youth. I'm basically a knowledge keeper is the proper name that I hold. It's and I'm always still learning, and I'll never stop. Yeah.
Ooh, watch your fingers.
So we're getting it right down to this nice smooth stuff here.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of red, that's all right. You want to get all the real rough stuff off, then you can roll it up real nice. Then save it for later when you're ready to work on it.
Another traditional tree that we use a lot here is the alder, and it's great for beginner carvers to use. It carves really easy, and it's very sustainable. It grows very fast, so we use it a lot for heating or a lot for cooking and smoking, smoking our fish and meats.
And this is all really good fire starter.
Mm-hmm. Thor did some really nice beading. You can see on his hat there. He gifted me the skeet mook, which is the octopus, last year, I guess, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. My grandfather, who passed away in 1970s. His name was Chief Eddie George. I believe he's on some of your film here at the museum as well too. I used to come in here all the time when I was a kid and watch it after he passed away. And yeah, he was one of my favorite people. Keep going, Thor?
We should be good now.
Okay, so that's how we do a strip. Ideally, we would want a wide strip all the way down. Sometimes it comes off. Sometimes you can't control it. Different knots and stuff in the tree will make it split up. So you work with what you can get. So what we'll do off camera is we'll finish pulling all this off and prepping it so that we can use it to make our rope and whatever we're going to be making in the next film. So Hajka, thank you very much for joining us, and thank you, Thor, for your part, and see you guys.